Hello everyone. So in this video we will be just revising chapter 1 which we have been studying all these days. So if you think you did not understand any lessons or any particular kind of uh, concept, please go and watch because they are under each lesson heading. You can watch the videos related to that lesson. Like if you don't understand any part of chapter 1 lesson 3, you can just click on that video. There are 2 videos for each lesson, so you can check which video is that and you can watch that part, as this is not going to be an explanation video. This is only just going to be a revising one, as I will not be explaining in detail what you need to do in each and every question. So let's go ahead and solve these questions. Now, those who know already, the worksheet had been uploaded on Classera. So you just have to take a printout of it and solve. If you have solved, you can check the answers here. Else you can simply copy the questions and pause the video, then solve and then check the video with me. Okay, so this is the first question we have. Evaluate each expression for r equals 6, s equals 5 and t equals 3, which mean in place of any of these variables you need to replace them with the numbers. So here we have r minus s, which means r is 6, so we write it as 6. So let's write r in 6 in place of r minus s, that's 5. So r minus s, that is 6 minus 5 equals 1. So the value of this expression is 1. These are very simple questions. So these are r is 6 and then t is 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now s and r, always remember, if a variable and if two variables or a variable and number are together, means they have been multiplied. So this means s multiplied by r. So the value of s according to the question is 5 multiplied by 6. So that will give you a 30. 5 multiplied by 6 is 30. If you want more practice, please open your textbook. There are various questions you can solve, and then you can confirm whether you understood the part or not. Okay, let's solve each equation. Now, this is the most important part of the chapter. You already know the rules of equation. When you're solving, you need to move the variables to one side, keep the numbers on one side. But when you move, what happens is the signs change. For example, here it's x minus 32 equals negative 13. So we have to move the negative 32 with its kind, with the same numbers, right? So minus 32 becomes plus 32. So x is going to be equal to negative 18 plus 32. So negative 18 plus 32, that means one is positive, one is negative. The rule is you need to subtract. So 32 minus 18 will give me a 14. Now I keep the positive sign because 32 is bigger and it owns the positive sign. So it's going to be a positive 14. Same here. I need to move the number to the other side with the number. So that will leave me with 1.1 plus 0.9 equals m, which means I have to add the decimals. Now when you're adding decimals, you have to be very careful, as you need to line the decimals right under each other. So this will give you a 2.0, which is a 2. We don't usually call it a 2.0. So m is equal to 2, or even you write 2 equals m, it literally means the same. Let's move on to this question. So this means half, we need to move it to this side. So 9, oh, my 9 looks like a G. So I'll write the 9 as normally how we write the 9. Minus 8, 9 over 8 minus 1 over half equals G. The plus became minus. Okay, so as you can see that we cannot subtract the fractions because the numerators, the denominators are not the same. So to make the denominators the same, either you need to divide this with 4, but that's a bigger thing to do, and or we have to multiply this with 4 to make it 8. So we multiply the numerator and denominator to make it 8. So 9 over 8 stays the same. 4 ones are 4, 4 twos are 8 equals G. So 9 minus 4 equals 5 and 8 remains the same denominator. When the denominators are same, then only you can subtract or add the fractions. So G equals 5 over 8 or 5 5 over 8 equals g. Hopefully this part is clear. You need to understand we cannot add or subtract when the denominators are different, so we need to make them both the same denominators. So to do that, we need to multiply any one of them to make them equal. So I chose this to make it equal to 8. So I multiplied the denominator and numerator with 4. It gave me 4 over 8. Then I can simply subtract 9 minus 4. 4 will give me 5, and then the denominator remains the same. Moving on to the next question. Now, as you can see, this is h divided by 3 equals negative 12. So we have to do the opposite to find the value of h. So this is divide, which means we are going to multiply. So this is going to give us negative 36. Now these are integer rules. If you multiply or divide any negative number, your answer will be negative 1 as well, a negative answer as well. 42 equals 3c. Now as I told you before, this 3, a variable and a number, or two variables are together, means they have been multiplied. So this is 3 multiplied by c. So to remove the 3 from the c, we have to do the opposite. The opposite of multiply is divide. So 42 divided by 3, that will give me a 14 equals c. Now if you cannot do this mentally, you have to of course write 42 divided by 3. Follow the steps of division and then do it. That will give you 14. If you can do it with mental math, that's much better. Okay. Now here, negative 0.1b, again this means 0.1 multiplied by b, right? This means 0.1 multiplied by b. So to remove the number, I need to do the opposite. So what's the opposite? Opposite is divided by negative 0.1. So b equals 3.7 divided by negative 0.1. Now, as you know, we are going to divide decimals. So when you divide decimals, you need to be very, very careful, as if the divisor has a decimal, you cannot divide. You need to move this away. So to move this away, you have to move one decimal place behind, which means from the dividend as well, the decimal moves one place behind. So what is that leaving us with? That will leave us with 37 divided by 1. So 37 divided by 1 will give us 37. B equals 37. Here itself you can do, but then don't forget the negative sign, okay? Because negative sign is very important. Let me write it again so that you will not be confused. So B equals negative 37. You can do it here as well. No need to do all these steps. Remove the decimal point means it will be like negative, right? Sorry, it will be moving to 1 here, means here also it will move 1. So you have 37 divided by negative 1 will give you negative 37. You can do it that way as well. Okay, here now same, the rule is same everywhere. So you keep R to one side and remove the number first. So to remove the number first, you need to subtract it. Plus 20 will become minus 20. So 2r equals 180. Now this is mental math. I'm not going to write you and show how much is 200 minus 20. So now again we need to remove the 2 from r. 2r means 2 multiplied r. So to remove the 2 we need to do the opposite, which is the opposite of multiply, that's divide. So we are dividing it, that will give you 90. You just divide 18 by 2, that will give you 9, and then you have 10, r equals 90. Now this one, you need to remember that you have to multiply each term inside. So that will give you 4x minus 28 equals 2. Okay, which means you need to remove the negative 28 and move it to the other side. So that will give you 4x equals 2 plus 30, sorry, 2 plus 28, because it's minus 28 here. So when it moves to the other side, it will become plus 28. So 4x equals 30. X equals 30 over 4. Now it's up to you. You want to leave the answer like this, it's fine too. it's all right because they did not say like simplify to the lowest term, right? So you can leave it like that. Else, if you think, no, I want to go ahead one step and do it perfectly, you can change this into a mixed number. How do you change this into a mixed number? Divide 30 by 4. That will give you a 24 7s are 28, a remainder of 2. So you can write it as a mixed number. You take the uh, quotient as the whole number here, so write it a bit bigger. Then the numerator becomes 2 and the denominator stays same, which is 4. Now it is still not in its simplest form, so you can do this, divided by 2, so 7 half or 7.5, it's all the same. Now because we have done a fractional question, so it's better you keep it in a fraction rather than turning it into a decimal, but decimal also is no problem. So even if you leave it here, you stop here, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. As you know, when we are checking, we need to change it to this form again. So if you think no further you want to do a step and be perfect in doing it, then you can go ahead and do this step. Let's move to this one. So here we have 3 over 5k plus 5 equals 7. So as usual, we need to remove the number first. So that will be having 3 over 5k equals 7 minus 5, which means 3 over 5 equals, k equals 2. Now to remove the 3 over 5 from k, we need to do the opposite. This means it has been multiplied, so we do divide. 2 divided by 3 over 5. As you can see that there is no denominator for 2, so keep the denominator as 1. Now you know we do not, whenever we have fraction divisions, we use keep, change, flip, right? So we are going to do the same. We are going to keep the first one same, change the sign, and then flip the other fraction. So what does that give you? K equals 10 over 3. And you can leave your answer like this. It's perfect to leave the answer like this. But still, if you think you want to move ahead and make it into a perfect answer, you need to, of course, change, like how we changed here into a mixed number, you need to change it. So the rule stays the same. You have to divide 10 by 3. That means it will give you 3, 9, and a remainder of 1, which means it's 3 whole 1 over 3. So whether like this or like this, the answer is correct. Hopefully this is clear. Only you need to be careful because it's dividing fractions. You have to always use KCF, which is keep, change, and flip rule. Okay, the next question here, we have the same. Now here we have variables on both the sides. So what are we going to do? Move the variable to one side and move the numbers to one side. So here I will move the plus 2x to this side. So that will become a minus 2x. Here I will move the minus 3 to this side. So that will become a plus 3. Let's rewrite 4x minus 2x equals 5 plus 3. Okay, the plus 2x became minus 2x, the minus 3 became plus 3. So this is going to give me a 2x equals 8. Now, of course, we have to isolate the x. We have to keep x alone. So x is equal to 8 divided by 2. X is equal to 4. These are easy questions. They only come with practice. If you don't practice, do not say that you didn't understand. If you didn't understand, means you did not practice. Okay, let's try this. Of course, you know that you need to multiply each term with what's inside the parenthesis. With what's outside you have to multiply each term inside the parenthesis with what's outside. So 3 2's will give you a 6x minus 15 equals 6x minus 4. Okay, what's the next rule? Arrange them. Bring the variables together and the numbers together. So 6x, I'm moving this 6x to that side. So this is plus 6x becomes minus 6x. Then already negative 4 is here. I don't need to do anything. I will move the negative 15 to the other side. So what happens when negative 15 moves to the other side? It will become a positive 15. So 6x minus 6x will give me 0. Now you don't need to write an x here. It doesn't make sense if you write x, but because 6x minus 6x, you have 6x, you are removing 6x, how much do you have? You have 0, you don't have a 0x, right? So that means it doesn't make any sense to write 0x. Maybe I would have shown you just to make it clear for you, but here now, as you know the steps and everything, you don't need to write 0x. Now this is going to give me an 11. Okay, 0 equals 11. Does that sound correct? How is 0 equal to 11? This is a wrong equation. So when you have wrong equations, you say that there is no solution. For this equation, there is no solution because it is a wrong equation. We have never studied anything like 0 equals 11, right? So be careful. When you have such questions, you need to see, is 0 equal to 11? If it's wrong, write it as no solution. Okay, now here we have to solve the variables. Okay, solve x divided by r equals v for r. So we need to remove the r first from here, which means this is x divided by r. When it moves to the other side, that will become x equals r multiplied by v, or v multiplied by r. It means literally the same thing. Or vr, you can even write x equals vr or rv. It's the same. Okay, so I need to isolate which letter? I need to isolate r. I need to keep r alone. So I need to move the multiplied v. So when the multiplied v move to the other side of the equation, what does that become? That becomes x divided by v equals r. It's easy. Only you have to do one step and the next step will be answer. Okay, this question here now, you can either solve that by opening up by multiplying them, or you can simply remove it now itself. This means 3 multiplied by k minus 8, right? So what you can do, you can divide, remove the multiply and make it a divide. So I'll show you how it looks like. So it's going to be h over p, okay, equals k minus 8. Now we are solving for k, right? That means what is the next step? We need to, of course, move the minus 8 to the other side. So that will become h plus p minus 8 divided by 3 equals k. Now let's try the other way, which I think we did already. Okay, let's multiply each of them inside the parentheses. So what's that going to give you? That will give you h plus p equals 3k minus 24, right? So we need to isolate the k. So to isolate the k, we need to move the negative minus 24 to the other side. So that will give you h plus p plus 24. Wait. Here, plus 24 equals 3k. Now here I have done a small mistake. When I moved the negative 8 to the other side, I forgot to change it to a positive 1. It should be positive 8. Okay, divided by, now, why am I going to divide? In the next step, you need to, of course, isolate the k, right? So to isolate the k, you need to move the 3 from there. So this is 3 multiplied by k. So when you are moving the 3, what does that become? That becomes divide by 3 equals k. Now, there is one more thing to be done. If you notice, you can divide 3 by 24. Okay, so 24 divided by 3 will give you 8. So your simplified answer is going to be this. Now you know you cannot divide h by 3, you cannot divide p by 3, but you can still divide 24 by 3 and that will give you an 8. I think we forgot to do this step when we were doing the classwork. So this is another extra step to be added, or you can simply follow this step. Remove the 3 before you multiply. So 3 multiply will become divide. So that's why h plus p divided by 3, right, equals k minus 8, and then remove the minus 8 and put it onto the other side. That will give you a plus 8. So the answer remains the same. Only here I think we forgot to simplify this during the class time. So you must follow that step too. Okay, so that was all. Okay, we have two questions more about absolute values. Now, absolute values, the first step is check if there are any numbers to solve. If there are no numbers to solve, you have to give the two possibilities. So the first possibility is going to be h plus 4 equals 11. Next one is h plus 4 equals minus 11. Okay, these are the two possibilities we are giving. This is not the question. You might say, we learned that if the absolute value equation equals 0, then there is no solution. No, this has a solution. This is 11. We are giving the two possibilities. The question itself is not in negative. Okay, so this is going to be h is equal to 11 minus 4. So h is going to be equal to 7. This is going to be h is equal to negative 11, negative 4. So h is going to be equal to minus 15. So h is 7 and h is minus 15. Now, for this question, of course, you know that we need to get rid of these numbers which are on the side. So to remove that, we have to first solve the numbers. So when the numbers go to the other side, that's plus 30 goes to the other side, that becomes a minus 30 equals 7p plus 3. 16 minus 13 will give me a negative 14, which is equal to 7p plus 3. Right, now to remove this 7, this means 7 multiplied, so we are going to divide negative 14 by 7 to get the value. So this is going to give me 2p plus 3, absolute value of p plus 3. Now what did we study previously? If any absolute value equation equals a negative number, if any absolute value equation equals a negative number, there will be no solution for such absolute value equations. If any equation equals to a negative number, absolute value equation equals to a negative number, there will be no solution for such equations. And if there was 0, for example, if we have something like n plus 3, the absolute value of this equals 0, then you need to understand that there will be only one solution for this, and the solution is going to be n plus 3 equals 0, because you can only make one equation. I have explained in detail in the previous video, so if you don't understand this part, please go and watch part 2 of solving absolute value equations. So this was all for the revision. So if you want more practice, definitely your book is always with you and you're more open to do always questions. So keep practicing. That's the only way you can learn math, practice. So till we meet again in another new lesson, another new chapter, keep revising and keep practicing.